Thank you, Vladimir. When I was about to get registered for Semiofest, I saw that it was still there was still enough time to propose some paper, and I was wondering if I had anything new to offer in terms of innovation. And I mean, I do a lot of analysis and positioning and innovation issues, but basically there was nothing new in terms of methods. And then I realized that I had something which I just did, which was quite fun to do, which isn't about how we do the analysis in itself. There's nothing new about it, but how we share it with our client. And I'm very much convinced that to help semiotics grow, we really need to improve how we share what we do, more than trying to put some new thinking in terms of how we really process in terms of analysis. So this is just an example in terms of how, I mean, that's an idea. Yeah, I found it. So I'm going to talk about the Club Med. Okay, anyone know about the, it's a, you know, leisure, vacations, holidays club. And I was asked to help them when they realize that most of the time they have some very different point of views in terms of what the image, what their territory is about. And when they're working with agencies, they have many difficulties to agree on what should be done. So, in terms of challenges, it was to ease the strategic decisions, to work with the agencies and the key departments. The research, the communication, and marketing direction were involved, and we had to define a shared point of view. And for myself, it was to find a way to involve the top management of the brand, as well as people who work in the field, so that they can all contribute to define their brand. So it's not a regular, marketing audience. I have to imply many type of people. So in terms of process, nothing new, as I told you. I worked on all the advertising, all the brochures, the sites, the villages themselves. Everything was taken into considerations. I used what I called the Big Mac, which is the traditional narrative trajectory. So we still have the codes, all the typefaces, the colors, the shapes, and everything, which were taken into considerations. All the discursive level, all the stories, and all the tools that we have, like the schematic process to cut different stories, and all the semio-narrative part, all the values of the brand. And then the game started. So I booked a full day with quite a lot of people, and I reminded them that the objective of the day was to be aligned on the codes of the Club Med, to help everyone work with the agencies, and that the objective wasn't to define what the brand was about, like based in the past, but it was ready to define what we want it to be. So it's not an innovation process. Okay, it's very much just a projective positioning approach. In order to make it work, there are some rules. All the participants were equipped with some grids so that they could tick, the answers. For each item, when I did the analysis of the brand, I ended up with 37 main themes, which were very important to have a clear point of view on the brand. So I had to go through 37 items, and each time, as you'll see, they will have different proposition. And I asked them to consider the answers in their global aspect, because it's going to be very much visual, and if they don't like one image on one page, I didn't want them to kill that possibility. And everyone in the room had the same importance. So, getting back to the Big Mac, we started with all the vision aspect of the brand. So this is just a few samples, okay? It's not exhaustive at all. So we're going to start with the relationship to freedom. So think that you're working at the Club Med and you have to tick the answer that you think is the most appropriate one for the Club Med. So relationship to freedom, is it about being carefree? You know, it's very light-hearted, I can do whatever I want. Is it about personalized answers? You know, tailor-made, precisely made for me? Or being free, is it about the lack of rules? I can do whatever I want, no more rules. And you have to pick one of those three. Of course, the more answers you'll pick, the more it means that the item won't be very much precise as a brand statement. Now, how do you set people free, which is slightly different? Is it by cutting responsibilities and let go, saying, now we forget about the rules, or is it by pushing people to to get nuts and to go beyond the limits so that they would act in a hard way? Is it by doing nothing at all? Or is it pushing a guilt-free attitude and saying, yes, you can, food, sex, everything that could be guilty is somehow encouraged in the Club Med? So we have a whole scope in terms of vision. Then we go into the interactions with the club. So we have, for example, relationships with others. So others, are they partners for games and experiences? Are they members of the same community? Is it about the capacity to forget about the others and not being bothered by them anymore? Or is it about meeting other types of people and mixing them? Kids, do you go to the Club Med to at last get rid of them and spending a good day without to worry about them? Do you go to the Club Med because you have the best instructors available? Is it about how they can discover and learn things? How they can meet other kids and mix with them? Or is it because of how they grow up and often is the first time, the first kiss, the first dates and things like that that do happen in the Club Med? Relationship to nature, is it about the decor? Is it a quality of life? Or is it the purpose of your vacations in itself and things that you want to go there because the coral is very specific no matter what? Same thing for foods, for nature, for tons of things. And now the expressions of the club, for example, the nature of visuals. Is it about realism in terms of aesthetic? Can it be modified photos playing with a superimposed, for example, or virtual images, including illustrations, but they don't even try to look real. Okay. Same thing with typefaces, with page layout. Everything is about very controlled and cluttered space. Is it subtlety and sobriety? Is it more baroque, going outside the frame, etc., etc. We don't want to do the whole process. We had a break for lunch, which was enough time to do all the counting and see what kind of scores came out. For example, if I take the relationship with others, 6 people took the partners for games and experiences, 10 people took meeting others as mixing with them. So we had some debates. All the scores that were, where we had some big gaps between different solutions were debated, and which allowed me to do the synthesis at the end of each debate. So for example, it's a D with a pinch of A, so the relationship with others becomes the discovery, the multiculturalism, and the capacity to share experiences. It is the international variety of profiles that matter, which means that the discovery of different types of people is what matters most. So sharing activities is only one way to make people really meet with each other. And the same thing for all of the items which made us end up with a new brand book, going through the vision of the world of the brand, the interaction with the brand, and how it expresses itself, for example, and make it quite clear for everyone who is working on the brand. What to remember from it? It's basically how to switch from a regular analysis to a more playful way to interact with your client. In order to share, a regular work, the Big Mac, with values, interaction, and expression is quite easy to use, and the fact that they can vote, that they can decide what they want the brand to be was quite efficient. And once again, I think that for us, it's more about how we find ways to share and make it appropriate by our client that matters most than innovation in terms of process. And that's it. That won't be long.